We guys always talk about the wall insofar as women are concerned, and we always kind of like mock women a little bit. It's sort of like, you know, this truth that we almost wield as if it were a weapon. We're like, yeah, you know, have your fun now, little girl. But once you hit the wall, you're going to be crawling and desperate for our attention, right? It's kind of like that, because we know the concept of the wall, the notion that a woman's window of fertility closes, and after that, she's simply not considered as attractive or as interesting as she once was, when she was young, of course. See, so we know about that concept for women, but it also applies to men. It's very important that you understand it, because the wall comes for everyone, men and women. For women, it comes, you know, in their late 30s, early 40s, but for men, it comes just as ruthlessly and relentlessly, and it's important that you understand what that wall is. Quite simply, it's the age at which you are not taken into consideration anymore, when you are no longer able to bend the reality around you as you once did. It's as simple as that. See, when you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, even your 50s, you can bend the reality around you. You can go off and pursue some business, some career, whatever, and change reality. That's the superpower that all men have, of course. And of course, as a self-respecting man, I always look at these 20-somethings, 30-somethings, even 40-somethings who don't seem to have the gumption to go out there and, you know, bend reality to their will. That's our power. We have that ability to change the reality to our will. And how do we change it? By convincing other people to follow us. That's the thing. See? We decide that we're going to do some project, some new business, for instance. And we say we're going to go in this direction. And in our energy and our drive, we pull people in our wake. They follow us. They follow us on the new business venture, on the new project, on the climb to Mount Everest, on the way to hunt the woolly mammoth, as I always say, right? You guys always fucking mock me about that, but it is the metaphor of human beings, of men. We go out there and hunt the woolly mammoth. And we drag other men with us, other men, other children, everybody. We drag them with us, and as we drag them with us, we have power. Because we're the leader. But see, as we get older, we no longer have that energy. And more to the point, as we get older, there comes a moment when other people are simply not willing to follow us. Not unless there's an incredible incentive. I mean, like, I once saw this film of John D. Rockefeller, the billionaire, the first billionaire ever. You know, the one who set up Standard Oil and whatnot. And he was like 90-something, right? And he had a bunch of people who were singing some stupid song for his amusement, right? Now that showed that he had power, real power. He could bend reality. He could make all these flunkies sing some little ditty for him, yeah, for his amusement, yeah, because he was a billionaire. He was a very rich man, see? And so, of course, those flunkies were incentivized by his wealth to do his bidding, however absurd that bidding might have been, right? But what happens is that if you don't have that money, if you just have force of personality, there comes a point where people are no longer willing to follow you. When you're in your 20s, and especially your 30s and 40s, people will follow you. You don't have to have cash to be followed by others. But once you get into your late 40s and into your 50s, you better have something, like a position or money, something that people say, oh yeah, I'm following him because he's the man, he's the guy, he's got the position, he's the CEO, he's the billionaire, he's whatever, right? But if you don't have that, well then people aren't going to follow you. And that's the point. That's when you hit the wall for men, see? See, because as you develop, you grow, you build a business, a career, what have you, you climb the pyramid, the hierarchical pyramid, and where we all men compete. We start at the bottom and we climb each rung up the pyramid. And the pyramid, of course, gets smaller and smaller as you rise to the top. And as you rise, see, other people follow you. But there will come a point where they will no longer follow you. They no longer believe that you have what it takes to get to the top. Because, see, they're following you because they think that they will follow you and get to that top of that pyramid, of that mountain, of whatever. See? They believe that you have the strength to reach that goal. But as you get older, doubts start to appear, and your followers don't quite believe you as much. And it's natural, it's normal, it's the natural wall for men. We climb up the hierarchy, but we're aging. We're not so strong as when we were younger. And of course, some men make up for that lack of natural energy and strength because of position and because of wealth, like the J.D. Rockefeller case, right? Some decrepit old 90-something-year-old man getting everybody to literally sing for their supper. Yeah, but the thing is, see, not all of us are billionaires now, are we? And not all of us are lucky enough to solidify a position, a clearly defined position that makes us powerful in the world that we inhabit. You see? And so what happens is that as you get older, you will find that people are not so willing to jump on your bandwagon and follow you. And that's your wall. And you see the difference between men and women. I mean, women's value is their fertility and the signifiers of their fertility. Men's value is their leadership potential, their ability to lead others towards some goal. And that's why the wall hits different for men and women. Some men are disqualified almost immediately. I mean, if you think of it in this term, in terms of this model that I've outlined for you, there are some men who hit the wall when they're 18 years old. Nobody will follow them. Nobody believes in them. And because nobody believes in them, they don't believe in themselves, and so it becomes a self-reinforcing cycle. Those are incels. Those are men whom other men will not follow, and therefore women do not want them. Of course not. Because women want a man who can bend reality to their will. Women want a man who leads other men. It's as simple as that. And a man can be in his 70s, in his 80s, and women will still find him sexy. Not because he's inherently attractive. No, he could be 70 years old, balding with a paunch. But if he gets a whole bunch of other people to sing a little fucking ditty for his amusement, oh, a whole bunch of young girls are going to find him all kinds of attractive. Oh yeah, see? And they're going to say that he's interesting, and they'll say, yeah, he's not sexy, but he's got something. He's got some frisson, some electricity, some charisma, he can dominate and control other men. That's what he's got. I've met men who were very successful and who have hit the wall. And sometimes it's as horrifying as when a young woman is no longer so young and no longer so pretty and hits the wall at 100 miles an hour. Yeah. I knew one executive. I knew him very well. And this executive, when he hit like 55, things were going great. He was in charge of a whole bunch of people and things were going his way in his company. He hadn't been rising as of late, but he was in control of a very large and very profitable division. And then one day, he got somebody who was sort of like reported to him, but really wasn't his underling. It was his replacement. And within 4 years, that replacement had basically shoved him aside. And he decided, you know, fuck it. I'm not going to stay here and be like the head in name only of this corporate division. I'm going to go out and find myself a better job in some other company. And he put out his resume with headhunters and the whole 9 yards, right? And there were no takers. Nobody wanted to hire him. Yeah, he'd hit his wall. And the thing is, he was telling the other people, and I knew this story intimately, okay? He was telling his underlings, his key people, to come with him. And they were all kind of like, yeah, sure, but they weren't doing it. They weren't really signing on. And he was trying to find another company where he could land. And he was trying to pull together like underlings and key people to be with him, to go to the next company, right? But the people underneath him really didn't want to join him, and there weren't other companies that really wanted to have him anymore. He'd hit the wall. And it was over for him. And he was 57, 58, and all of a sudden, That was it for him. He hit the wall, and he hit it around 100 miles an hour. Yeah, and it was devastating for him. Okay, because at first he didn't understand it. At first he was just trying to explain it away and saying that, oh, these bastards, this and that. I mean, blaming everybody, blaming the fates, blaming his industry, blaming all kinds of things, right? And me watching from outside, I could see what was happening, and I couldn't tell him. Just as you can't tell a woman who's hit the wall what's going on because she won't believe you. Yeah, same fucking problem. This guy who had been a very capable man, he had led literally thousands of people. He had dozens of people reporting to him daily. But all of a sudden at 57, 58, he was being phased out. He had hit the wall. And by 59, he was out of a job. And that was the end of his career. That was the end of his working life. And that happens all the time. It happens all the fucking time. And the thing is, see, the people who are least prepared for this kind of situation of hitting the wall are those guys who have been parts of a corporation and they've been very successful at it for a number of decades. These are men who, in their 20s, they got their MBA from the good school, right, and went to work, they did a little work in some, investment bank, maybe at Goldman, maybe at some consulting firm, KPMG or whatever the fuck, right, just to get a little polish. And then they jumped into different businesses and management positions, senior management positions. And they just very confidently climbed that ladder in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, things going their way. They're hitting 50 and they're on top of a big division with a lot of fucking people answering to them, right? And in that decade, all of a sudden, slowly but surely, their importance starts to diminish, and then they get phased out, and then that's it. And nobody returns their calls. Nobody wants to do business with them. Nobody takes them seriously anymore. They hit the fucking wall. And it's devastating for these fuckers. No different from the Miss Universe who hits 45. Yeah. Miss Universe, who was like all this and more, who got flown around in private jets, and now she's 45 and nobody gives her the time of day. The exact same fucking thing happens to guys. You're a guy and you're starting your business, or you're in your corporate career, or whatever the fuck. Understand that you're gonna hit that wall. You're gonna hit that wall inevitably. We all do. I mean, myself included. See, there are lots of things that I'd like to do that I no longer can, because people just don't believe me. They don't believe that I can do it. Okay? I can actually do it, but it's irrelevant as to whether I can actually do something or not. It's whether other people believe in me. And there comes a time, there comes an age when others just don't believe in you anymore. They just don't. No matter how talented and hardworking and knowledgeable you might happen to be, there comes a moment that you are just not believed anymore. There is really only one way to avoid this fate. Only one way. And that way is for you to be the owner. Yeah. The owner of that business, of that enterprise. In Spanish, there's a saying, it's better to be the head of a mouse than the tail of a lion. It's very true. See, because a tail is disposable. It's not really necessary. But the head, it's definitely necessary, right? So it's better to be in charge of a small corporation, a small business, a small enterprise, whatsoever that enterprise might happen to be, than to be an appendage to a larger entity. Because as you grow older, you will be shed like the old skin of a snake. It's inevitable, okay? But if you are the head of some company, of some corporation, of some business, again, no matter how modest, you'll never be discarded because you'll always be essential. You see? And that's how you avoid hitting the wall as a man. If you're an employee, you think you're a superstar now, believe me, eventually your star will fade. And some other guy, younger guy, will be the reigning superstar. And you will become just another white dwarf. I was going to end the video there, but it's kind of like a downer because I don't want you to get down on it. Okay, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is for you to understand what the fuck is going on, so that you can prepare. You can prepare and you can pace yourself. Runners, you're running 100 meters or 400 meters or a marathon or whatever the fuck. whatsoever the distance might happen to be, you want to know what that distance is beforehand so that you can pace yourself. So you can know when to expend maximum energy and when to just cruise. See? By understanding when you are going to hit your wall as a man, in whatsoever business or enterprise or corporate ladder you're climbing, whatsoever that may be, if you know beforehand what it's going to be, what's your window, what's your time frame, how long is this distance, you'll be able to pace yourself. And that's why I'm telling you this. I'm not telling you this shit so that you can feel down about yourself. That's why I'm not ending it like before. But rather, it's for you to think about your life, your career, what you're doing, and understand that it will end. You will hit the wall, just like any 22-year-old girl when she hits 45. You're going to hit the wall and know how to handle it, know how to prepare, and know what you want to be doing once you hit that wall and go beyond it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please check out my Patreon channel. Link is in the description below. I put the link in the description below because you see, if you go to Patreon and search for me, you won't find me because I'm not safe for work. And that's because on Patreon, I put the videos that are frankly too controversial for YouTube. I put an extra video every week, and I do a Sunday show called a weekly webinar. So please check it out. Thanks very much, and I will catch you next time.